Greetings and hallucinations to all you folks out there. This is a 3 versus 3 tournament with 2 versus 2 playing. Yeah, you're not hallucinating. There was actually a massive connection issue between a couple of the players, so the team numbers were reduced so that they could finish out this game, and then things changed up as the tournament moved on. So for this particular game, on the map Meridia, we've got OK Puck and Chosen on the north side. Let me zoom in on the proper area here. We've got Cybern and Seraphim as the factions of choice. And then we've got Zlo and RoboGear. So that's going to be actually a pretty dang even matchup. 3 1900s and an 1800. And this map is a bit of a pickle to play. There's a ton of expansion opportunity. The map is 20K by 20K. Which is deceptively large. This looks like, you know, an intimate grouping of tight choke points when you first look at it, but then once you start looking a little more closely, you realize that this is actually a T3 Navy battlefield where you have to use transports to their maximum effect in order to get these expansions locked down. Do not forget that there's a substantial amount of reclaim. Pretty much anywhere there's an island with a mountain or a clump of trees, there's going to be a group of rocks and a whole bunch of mass extractors, so you need to get out and get those as quickly as you possibly can. And speaking of getting those quickly, we've already got air factories down for OK Puck and for Chosen. They're both going into the air game hard and fast. Scout out first, 2 scouts actually, in order to tag out the map and see what is going on. Chosen building a transport second, and looks like we've got interceptors coming out for OK Puck. Transport already produced for RoboGear. That is going to fly up to this island, secure those 6 mass extractors ASAP, and then we've got a movement towards the center to maximize that drop. So if you want to drop engineers, what you can do is you select the transport, you've got your bar down here, you click on to highlight the units that you want to drop, and then you place your drop order. Then you can continue to hold shift, select more in the transport, and drop at a later location. I get that question quite a bit. How do you sequentially drop units from a transport? Well, there you go. Hopefully you can use it in some of your games. 2 and 2 and 1 in this particular case. Got a land factory going down there, and here it is already finished. So that's going to be a nice secure little foothold on those islands. Interceptors coming in after the transport, but Inties will be there to defend. A single engineer drop that will queue 3 land factories immediately. Zlo has done a pretty good job of expanding to his islands as well. Probably going to be able to walk an engineer to this one, walking an engineer to these groups of mass extractors on the South Ocean. And then we've got a queue of 5 naval factories, but that's going to be a long time in the making. We've got ETA 4 minutes and 20 seconds to the arrival at the first factory. If that's the only navy that he's going to be building, that is much too slow. He is probably going to get rushed down by frigates from the other side. More transports happening. We've got engineers dropping all the way down the left for Chosen, and he's already secured his front island and the center island, the same as his direct opponent has. Zlo transporting engineers up to the far north. Gonna grab those 3 mass extractors, and look at the queue in the back end of this son of a gun. OK Puck queuing up approximately all the naval factories. We can actually take a look here. 14 naval factories total. Can we even count that high? I think Sesame Street leaves off usually a little bit lower than that. Chosen getting his 3rd air factory down and continuing to spam the ever-living daylights out of T1 power. Not a whole lot of care taken with adjacency or spreading them out, but I suppose we can forgive him since this is a 20K map and you're very unlikely to have things happening in your base at the beginning of the game. A little bit of an air fight in the center. It was hard to tell for a minute there who was going to win, but it looks like OK Puck is going to come out on top. He's got another air transport still in the rear, so that's not in danger of dying, and there's no real aggressive units out, so I don't think that an air loss is going to hurt the south side. They do have a T1 bomber out, which might come up and do a little damage to the stuff up here. OK Puck is actually counter dropped to the far island, where he is building 6 land factories total. Compare that to the 5 over here. We might have a little bit of a problem for RoboGear's hold on the island. We do have radar over here. which will allow him to spot the units coming in and provide his Auroras with their maximum firing range. Of course, as we've said 1,000 times before, if you don't have intel for your Auroras, they are doomed. Because even though they do have that huge range advantage, they've got half the HP, and by the time you close in, they are just gonna get stomped on. Chosen already has a T2 air factory online, getting some T2 engineers out with power already queued. 8.5 minutes, that is a reasonably quick time to move that direction. Looks like Zlo is already going for a T2 upgrade as well, although he is not assisting it very hard, and I am sure that he is having some power issues. He is throttling himself in order to minimize his stall, but he is still going to go into the red right there. Okay, Puck has a pretty good grouping of Mantis. Looks like he's lost all of his engineers due to the T1 bombers that were put out by RoboGear. So RoboGear doing an excellent job with his harassment. Another bomb putting the stun on some of those Mantis and reducing the number so that his Auroras will be able to come in and take the advantage. Engineers now being built out of one of these factories in order to get up as much build power as possible as quickly as he can. I spy a red frigate, so it looks like a much more aggressive naval build is going up in front of RoboGear's base than Zlo has planned. He actually only built one naval factory, and he's moved that engineer off in this direction to do who knows what. That actually looks like a reclaim order with attack moves. I don't know what's out in the water that he might possibly hope to get, but I don't know. I fail to see the logic on this one. Zooey's moving across onto these naval factories. There is going to be a frigate out though, 2 of them, and that's going to solve that problem quite nicely. That's 3 total naval factories, 4 for Zlo, and then another 5 for RoboGear. So 9 total. We've already got 7 online for OK Puck and 2 for Chosen. So an even number of naval factories from these guys. Chosen a bit ahead in the power game. RoboGear sitting at 63 mass per tick. We've got 91 for Chosen, who does have a much more substantial hold on the map. And then on the south side, we've got 79 and 61 for the incomes. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of a look at the reclaim values. We've got 75k, 58k, then Zlo at 46, OK Puck at 34. And you can kind of see the difference that it makes in their early game, how much reclaim they are getting, because the north side is getting fairly far ahead in both their eco and in their map control. T2 gunships on the north side could potentially be used for some early harassment. We've got another naval factory for Zlo all the way up on the top end, and one to the right. This is kind of an odd thing that you notice with some of the higher ranked players that are typically in 1 versus 1 matches. They distribute their build power much more widely than team game players do. OK Puck, I think he may play 1 versus 1, I may just not know about it, but he plays a ton of team games. So he tends to queue up everything in the rear of the base and concentrate all of his valuable assets in one area. Chosen is slightly more spread out, but he's still kind of following the same trend where he's got most of his important stuff next to his ACU, and he does have some factories out in other places where he absolutely needs them. Then you take a look at Zlo's base. You have a super compact optimal adjacency build that takes up his home base, and then the rest of the map is just a scattering of units everywhere he can possibly place them, and he's using them in so many different arenas to harass. We've got some mass extractor harassment on the north side with a couple of subs. We've got frigate placement over here to prevent any units from coming out to these islands. We've got naval factories all over the place with sonars engaged. Nice air fight in the middle there. RoboGear does have Swift Winds out, so he is going to win that one quite handily, especially since a lot of the interceptors from OK Puck are out of fuel. And then Zlo's also engaging on the left side. So he is just all over the place, while the other 2 players are just kind of engaging in the middle. Looks like Chosen is going to be moving some of his artillery over to this island in an attempt to help out his teammate in keeping this foothold. 3 land factories are online, but that's nothing compared to the 5 from the other player. I don't know that the arty is going to be enough. It's a relatively effective tool versus the Auroras, but in the end, the Auroras are going to be able to dodge it out some and survive. Looks like a lot of air in the center. Chosen is not going to be able to hold this. Zlo and Puck, or Zlo and RoboGear, just devastating the air forces from the other side. They are going to be able to knock those gunships down, so no more threat of raiding there. And now air is completely theirs. They could actually move up to the north and attempt a factory lock at this point, which would be smart since Chosen has gone for T3 air. We've got the T3 upgrade already completed, T3 engineers out. They are building up a T3 power generator. Chosen, I don't think has enough, nope, not enough power by a long shot to start the T3 air units. Well, he may just stall through it and build ASF anyway, because he might expect shenanigans. We've got T2 torpedo bombers coming out for RoboGear. Those are going to do a huge amount of good versus the, well, that's a lot of frigates there. That is approximately one frigate from every single factory, so they've all started unloading. Those torpedo bombers are going to be able to harass unchallenged on the right due to that air loss. Puck is moving some of his interceptors that way, but as we mentioned before, being out of fuel is not good for your timing in crossing the map. Looks like RoboGear has finished off that foothold on the right island. Now the Auroras are going to move into the center and begin eliminating Chosen's base there as well. This is not going to go well for Chosen. He does have a fair amount of eco in his home base. He's at 116 Mascom in second place overall. Those are all T1 mexes, so it won't hurt too bad as far as the loss goes, but that is going to supply more reclaim and more mass in the long term to RoboGear, who is already about 15 ahead of the next person with 127. Zlo may have actually jumped up just a moment ago. Did he finish a T3 mass extractor? He did not. He must have finished some T2 upgrades in a location I did not notice. He's on top of the scoreboard now with 130 plus. Looks like we got some T2 mass extractor upgrades happening on the forward islands for Chosen. I'm surprised that there's no T2 Navy as of yet. Seems like the next logical step to take. He's upgrading a lot of his underwater mexes, which seems a little bit odd to me, as they would appear to be harder to protect, but maybe I'm completely wrong on that. He's about to lose a T2 on this side due to a single solitary T1 sub, which I think will be able to finish off that thing before the other attack submarine comes into range. T3 air is online though, and that is going to give a little bit of an advantage to the north. How long till we get T3 air on the south side? It looks like another 2 minutes at least. The factory upgrade has been started unassisted, and we have a strat now from Chosen coming in with a ground fire to take out 2 T2 power generators at once, then hitting up a mass extractor and the build power interceptors giving chase, but that strat is going to come out ahead. Puck trying to get in there. Sorry, that is RoboGear, but he is going to turn too late. The Strat Bomber is going to come out ahead. Strat Bombers, of course, have a slightly higher flight, or the same flight speed as interceptors. So unless you get the turn in behind, the Inties are never going to be able to catch the bomber. Swiftwind's, though, going to come in and drop that thing out of the sky, but the damage is done. That was a huge loss for the Southside team to take. RoboGear did not power stall. There is enough overflow coming from the other players, but that did put a little bit of a wrench in the works on that T3 air shift. I don't know why I keep getting these people confused. Probably because they're both a shade of red. Puck is the darker. I just got to remember that. ASF moving over to this side. RoboGear has a lot of frigates, and they are headed directly for Chosen's build power. If he's able to push these naval factories out of the water, it would be a huge win for his team, but I don't think that's going to work out for him, seeing as there are 5 T1 torpedo defenses online. That's going to be a firing cycle and a half for a frigate kill from each of those. And there's now an air engagement going on. I think that was a bad idea for RoboGear to come in. He's having to hand micro in order to not focus fire the torps, and that's going to give the ASF a massive advantage since they are much more maneuverable. The air superiority that the south side has been enjoying for some time has now disappeared, and torpedo bombers are going to be able to eliminate this threat to the base. We've got a T2 Navy shift which is going to help Chosen with some of these problems that he's having, and that is being assisted to heal by the engineers behind. Has not actually started building any helpful units. We've got more frigates on the north, Zlo trying to get in the back end of the base. Going to be able to knock out one of the factories and a few mass extractors. But that T1 Navy for OK Puck is going to retreat into the corner and be able to clean that up. No problemo. In the center, RoboGear doing a fantastic job of slowly eating away at the hold that Chosen has on the center island. Chosen down to 91 mass per tick. He is ahead in the scoreboard, mostly thanks to his T3 air production and the air win that just took place. But the North team is in trouble as far as economy is concerned. You can see 61 and 89 mass per tick versus 136 and 134. So these guys down here are going to be able to outstrip the North in just sheer production levels. The question is, can the North side pull off a snipe or bring this air advantage into play in some way that gets them out of this pickle? There is a lot of T1 flak in the middle, T2 flak I should say, which is going to cause some problems for the interceptors. Hopefully those will be able to pull out. Strat Bomber now wreaking havoc around the outside edge. Got a mass extractor and a radar over there. Will be moving down towards the south once again. I don't think there's any strong denial tools in place as of yet on the south side, but I am sure that we will be seeing some SAMs built shortly. Looks like Zlo is going to be moving into T3 air production, already getting an ASF out right as we speak, and he's getting a power grid laid in. Of course, you can use the adjacency on those T3 generators, feeding the support factories to increase your air production. Not only does your air take less power, so you're saving on eco that way as you're building ASF, but you have to build fewer power generators, which saves you mass. Crews are going to be able to knock out that Strat Bomber, not before a bomb was dropped, but I think that was a ground fire from out of reach since there was not a mass extractor there to begin with. So flying blind, not always the best idea. T2 mass extractor going to be eliminated by the T2 torpedo bomber up on the north side. OK Puck continuing to struggle to get over 70 income. Chosen has been knocked down to that level as well, but they have a bit of a unit number advantage online. So they should be able to maintain or even expand their map control. And since those units have been expended on their side of the map, we're going to see them getting a lot of reclaim out of this situation, but they're definitely not out of the woods yet. There's some bad stuff happening, and it's going to take a lot of work to overcome it, namely the center island. That does not look particularly great. Strat Bomber is going to get off a bomb there, do a little bit of damage, but the ASF will be able to clean it up. From this point on, Zlo is going to have enough ASF to drop a Strat Bomber as long as it's scouted, so it shouldn't cause as much of a trouble as it has been. Let's go ahead and take a look at the reclaim values. Chosen up there with 14,000, RoboGear the same. Looks like Zlo is sitting on 9K and OK Puck on 9K. These guys are staying extremely even within their team groupings. I guess that's what happens when basically everyone is the same rank. I see another Strat Bomber out here taking out the north side naval factory for Zlo. It's going to move back towards the south, and I am sure it will get dropped by ASF very quickly. ASF leaving the base right now to go that way. Looks like another Strat Bomber over to the left, so the harassment is real. T1 naval units moving up on the left side as well. I don't know that these are going to be able to do a substantial amount of damage, but anytime you're forcing your enemy to focus on other things, you're reducing the amount of APM they have to spend total on what their actual plans were. You could just kind of throw them off balance just a little bit, even if it is only for a moment, and then try to take advantage of that yourself. That's going to give a total of 4 air factories. Might even see some support factories come online for the south end of the base. It's going to give a pretty substantial amount of air production to Zlo. Chosen still only on 1 factory, and he's kind of spreading his P-gens out, I'm sure in hopes that they don't all get sniped in one place. That was a strap bomb drop. I think it just got cleaned up by the ASF there. We've got a strap bomber over here, which is moving towards the south. Chosen has just lost air control, so Zlo is going to be able to gain the upper hand in that arena, and he's got enough ASF online that he should be able to kill off the interceptor clouds that OKPuck is using to defend himself. It was looking hopeful for the Northside team for just a minute there, but now it is slipping back once again. Chosen and OKPuck both on the lower portion of the scoreboard. It looks like slowly but surely Zlo and RoboGear are gaining control of the map and crushing into their opponent's bases. We've got Hoverflak and tanks moving to the north now. Looks like a Seraphim destroyer is standing in the pass, so that we'll be able to deal with the hover quite effectively. But overall, just not enough naval units to keep a hold on the map from the north side. A single destroyer is the only naval unit that Chosen has under his control, and even that is already down to half health. OKPuck does have a pretty substantial T1 force, but he is versus a person with 6 T2 destroyers. That is not a force that you want to come up against, especially when most of your units are subs. The depth charge and torpedo combination on the Aeon destroyer is absolutely devastating to anything under the water. As long as you start within the regular engagement range, an Exodus class can actually successfully 1 versus 1 even a T3 sub hunter. The only advantage the sub hunter has is range in that situation. The Exodus class, by far the best destroyer versus subs. You can put some Coopers in the mix and UEF can do pretty well for themselves, but if you're just going for straight naval mass, Exodus classes scale incredibly well. ASF moving in now to clean up some of those interceptors. We've got tanks in the base. Chosen is having to deal with all of that crap now, and the naval control has closed in on the home territory of the north side. It looks like OKPuck will be able to deny this push, but the one coming behind it, I am not so certain of. Loads of ASF in the base. This is a Cybern player, so theoretically, they could pull off a telemazer. It might actually be time to start planning for that. Things are looking dire enough. Strap Bomber on the south side still successfully harassing. It's funny to see those things still flying in. I don't know that a single T2 mass extractor is worth the expenditure on a Strap Bomber, but, well, if you have the bomber, you might as well use it, right? Right. T2 torpedo bomber. I was about to say I'm not sure why all of those ASF just flew by it, but some of them did go back and kill it off. OKPuck maneuvering his forces where he thinks he can defend his factories. We've got a T2 upgrade online. He will be able to build destroyers, and his economy has climbed up to 81 mass per tick, so he is gaining slightly, but he's now losing the T2 mass extractors on his expansion island. It's looking worse and worse. Looks like OKPuck is going for the microwave laser. Maybe there is a hope. There is always a hope, I suppose. Are there any ACUs out? There are. RoboGear is standing out in the center. The question is going to be, will the Southside team leave enough good targets exposed that OKPuck can dive on in there and kill one of them? Or at least do enough damage to pull a win out? OKPuck, the Mazer is the cheaper upgrade, so he will be able to get that rather quickly, but I don't think he's going to do well with the teleporter upgrade. We've only got a single T3 power generator online, of course 3 for Chosen, but there's not enough total power for the team over there to get that without some incredibly heavy stalling. That was pinged. I do believe the south side pinged it. RoboGear immediately moved his ACU into the water, and Zlo is in the water as well. So I don't think those are going to be targets of opportunity, but perhaps he'll be able to get in here and do some damage to the power grids or to some other valuable targets. T2 point defense going down in RoboGear's base, so this base is pretty much out of the question for a telemasering, but maybe he can do some dips and dodges, get in here and clean up some of this stuff on the outside edges. The telemazer can be an incredibly effective tool for just knocking out things in the outer reaches of your opponent's base. 2 strap bombs dropping on that ACU, going to eliminate the half-built power generator, do some severe damage to that commander. They're going to turn around, make another pass. Teleporter has been canceled. He's trying to move away from the power generator. The AA laser taking out some of those ASF, but the ACU is taking way too much damage from that. The third pass will kill it, but inside the shield, it will be relatively well protected. Gonna build some SAMs up to try to stay alive. Struggle to just hold on for one more minute to try something else out to pull a win out, but I don't think it's gonna be successful. There's the last bomb. Okay, Puck going up in flames. Chosen, I made so late resource allocation. Don't know why you're even making resource allocation. Okay, Puck, played bad, too huge for me this map. These are difficult to get used to, and I think what we saw in this example, while maybe not the best game, was an excellent opportunity to learn from Zlow's playstyle. Also, RoboGear, he did an exceptional job on this one. Zlow was much more spread out than any of the other people. He got his naval production up close to the front so that he could stream the proper units into the base to suppress anything Chosen's throwing out. He's got distributed build power all around the outside edge with factories here, one in the rear, factories up this side. If any particular factory falls, he will still have production in other locations. He cored up his more expensive upgrades, where he's got T2 mexes where he can protect them, and then it went for T3 air pretty early in the game, definitely later than Chosen, but reasonably early, and has done a fantastic job of just spreading out through the entire map to exert control. On the other hand, Chosen and OK Puck stayed much more centralized, and they didn't have enough forces out on the edges to maintain control against the superior build power of RoboGear and Zlow. Once they started losing the outside edges, of course, map control comes into play. The Southside team has more mass extractors total, and they win the war of attrition. A little bit of a jumbled statement there, but I hope it makes sense. OK Puck also saying, I hate Navy. You just gotta use Navy like you would T1 land swarms. Sometimes it doesn't, it's more complicated or less complicated than people make it. People make it far too complicated. All right, Strat Bomber swooping in to end that game. That's gonna be all for this one, folks. Hopefully you're enjoying the tournament as it moves on. Some of the games I know are better than others, but as with anything, you just gotta approach it with a positive attitude and want to learn something from it, and hopefully we can all become better players together. That is gonna wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.